Hello, welcome along. This week, my topic is the power of silence in performance. I'll be taking a look at the latest headlines from across stage and screen and spotlighting a well-known artist whose idea of quiet storytelling demonstrates the power of subtle silence or that pause or reflection within a performance. All that's left for me to say is welcome along to Pepp's Pods Beyond Stage and Screen. Hello indeed, welcome along. Yes, it's Beyond Stage and Screen where I delve a that little bit deeper into the world of make-believe, into the creative arts industry for some magnificent topics, spotlighting artists and latest headlines from across stage and screen. This week I'm taking a look at the power of silence in performance. Yes, that magnificent pause or a moment of reflection that really creates the atmosphere in a theatrical show or a film or television production. As well as that, spotlighting a well-known artist who generally does make you believe there is power in silence. But first, let's switch things around for this week and take a look at the latest news. Tour stops has been confirmed for Blood Brothers for the first half of 2027. Written by Willie Russell, Blood Brothers premiered as a play before being adapted into a musical. The Spring 2027 tour will open at the Cliffs Pavilion in Southend in January before visiting Southampton, Dartford, New Brighton, Eastbourne, Manchester and Shrewsbury, taking all the way up to the half of 2027, May 2027. Casting for the spring tour will be announced at a later date, and also the autumn tour will have new cast members as well. Also this week we sadly lost one of the world's greatest performers, known to the world as a beloved singer, songwriter, actress, playwright, the wonderful Dolly Parton. She passed away on Tuesday at the age of 80. Her prime contribution to musical theatre is composing the score for 9 to 5 musical based on the 1980 film in which she starred. The production debuted Broadway, running for 148 regular performances. So on to our main topic for this week, the power of silence in performance. What role does silence play in performance? It's an interesting question, don't you think? Because when we think about acting, we often think about the words, dialogue, monologues, memorable speeches, the lines that audiences quote years and years later. But for some of the most powerful moments in storytelling contain no words at all, just silence. It can be a look, a pause, a moment of reflection, and yet those moments can carry enormous emotional weight. In fact, I would argue that silence is one of the most effective tools available to performers, because silence creates space. Space creates thought, space for emotion, for audiences to engage with what's happening beneath the surface. Real life, though, isn't a constant stream of dialogue. We hesitate, don't we? We struggle to find the words. We sometimes avoid difficult conversations and leave things unsaid. Have a think about your own life. How many things have you left unsaid? And it's often those unspoken moments that reveal the most about who we are as a person, as a human. Good performers understand this, and they recognise that emotion doesn't always need to be explained. Sometimes it simply needs to be felt. What's fascinating is that silence can be communicated many different ways, many different things. It can suggest sadness. fear, tension, love, uncertainty, regret. The meaning changes depending on the context, but the impact can be profound. I think audiences instinctively understand silence because we all experience it. We've all had moments where words felt inadequate, moments where what wasn't said mattered more than what was. And storytelling often draws its power from those recognisable human experiences. In today's world, there can sometimes be a temptation to explain everything. We rabbit on, don't we? We're trying to get everything out in one go. We want to make every emotion explicit to ensure audiences, to our online audiences sometimes, what's going on, to bring their own experiences into the story, and that can create a much deeper emotional connection, because when audiences discover the meaning for themselves, the experience becomes, I believe, personal. Perhaps that's why silence can be so memorable, not because it's empty, but because it's full of possibility, full of emotion, full of meaning, and sometimes a well-placed silence can say more than an entire page of dialogue ever can. Staying with the idea of quiet storytelling this week, I want to spotlight someone whose work often demonstrates the power of subtle performance, Mackenzie Crooks. Many people first became aware of him through comedy, particularly his role as Gareth in The Office, a character who can be awkward, frustrating, funny and oddly sympathetic all at the same time. But what has impressed me throughout his career is his ability to do so much with very little. Whether as an actor, writer or director, Mackenzie Crooks often works in a style that values observing things in the ordinary world over spectacularity. His performances rarely feel exaggerated. Instead, they feel lived in, natural, human, and that takes real skill, because subtlety is often harder than it looks. It's easier to assume that powerful acting means dramatic displays of emotion, but performers like Crooks remind us that emotional truth often exists in small moments. A hesitation, a glance, a slight shift in expression, tiny details that reveal what a character may be thinking or feeling. Now, his work on Detectorists is perhaps one of the best examples of his approach. It's a series built around ordinary people, quiet moments and everyday experiences, yet it's deeply moving, not because it relies on big dramatic events, but because it pays attention to humanity, to relationships, to the small details of everyday life. And what's remarkable is how much emotional depth can emerge from restraints. Crooks' work trusts the audience. It trusts them to notice, to listen, to engage with what's happening beneath the surface. And that trust is an important part of effective storytelling. Sometimes less really is more, and sometimes the quietest moment in a scene is the one the audiences remember. And I think Mackenzie Crooks understands that exceptionally well. His work demonstrates that performances don't always need to be loud to be powerful. It doesn't always need to be grand speeches or dramatic gestures. Sometimes all it needs is honesty, observation, and the confidence to let silence do some of the work, which brings us back to today's topic, the power of silence in performance. Because often the moments that resonate most strongly aren't the ones filled with words. They're the moments that allow us to pause, reflect and feel, and performers like Mackenzie Crooks remind us just how effective that can be. Now, I hope you enjoyed this week's topic, the power of silence in performance. I'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts about this week's topic or any topics as part of Pepp's Pods Beyond Stage and Screen. You can email peps.pods21@gmail.com. You can also leave me a voice note to feature in upcoming podcasts. Very much appreciated with the feedback so far. And Pepp's Pods is also now available to listen on YouTube. You can find my YouTube YouTube channel, the YouTube channel. Look for Pepp's Pods and you'll be able to find all the podcasts as well as some quirky material, videos that I've created showcasing skills as a performer. Many silent performances on there as well. And don't forget, you can join me every Monday and Friday on Box Office Radio for the best of stage and screen, 9 to 11 a.m. Mondays, it's all your Monday musical motivators to get you in the mood on a Monday with a golden oldie and a 3 to 11, and a Friday we're celebrating musical theatre with a Friday 5. That's Box Office Radio, the UK's only stage and screen station, playing you the biggest variety of music from your favourite musicals and movies. And that brings us to the end of this week's podcast, Beyond Stage and Screen. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Love to hear your feedback and to include you in the conversation of Beyond Stage and Screen. Next week, the topic is, why do certain stories feel timeless? Until then, have a lovely week ahead. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.